Hello, hello, hello. I want to make sure I can be heard. I want to start by saying right off the bat that there's incredible disrespect of Gen Xers and millennials. There's this incredible disrespect. One of the things that a lot of people say is that millennials are lazy, that they don't want to work. And this has been said for a while. Hi, guys. I usually start talking right off the bat, but I'm waiting for people to get on. But this is really, I'm hoping that I get millennials and Gen Xers on board because I'm a boomer. And there's this weird idea that millennials are lazy. I've been hearing that for a while, years actually. They don't want to work. That's bullshit. They do want to work. They just aren't going to kiss your butt doing it. What I love about millennials is they're absolutely irreverent and they're taking a sledgehammer to false beliefs about loyalty to the workplace. And there's something going on with you guys, many of you who are supporting Palestine and other and kind of putting your name out there and putting your foot to butt and pretty much telling the system they can go kiss it. And I love that. And as a boomer, okay, I'm putting it out there. I was born in 1962, right? Definitely the last threat of being a boomer. I love my millennial son. I love the Gen Xers. I love you guys who really don't give one F to what is expected of you. You follow your hearts and your passions. And I think it's about time a boomer like me stands up and tells you. Because honestly, the way you're being talked about in the media, when I mean media, I'm talking about the news, franchise news controlled by really pretty malevolent spirits, is not honoring who you really are as a generation. And I come from the last bastion of people who believe that you should work at a job your entire life. Hi, Jen. Thank you for being here. And what you're doing and shaking up the planet, don't believe one word from boomers like me who are saying that you're not educated. You're highly educated. You're self-educated. You're self-realized, self-educated. And you're learning on your own what feels true and what doesn't feel true. And the problem with people of my generation, I don't know what happened to us. I can't even connect with them because they're so stuck in the mud, is that they've lost their passion. And they were so sledgehammered by the disappointment that their youth promised. They were hoping that they were going to win and that they were going to have all of these promises that were given to them, like a carrot on a stick, that they would have a home, that they would have a life of comfort, and that they would, retire and all of that. All of that is a lie. And unfortunately, it's like a bitter woman, an embittered man or woman, like Scrooge, is that they become mean. I'm sorry. And so the theme is to congratulate the millennials and the Gen Xers who are going out in mass protest since the lockdowns and are now seeing the injustice around the world and going in mass protest. And what's been upsetting me is how the news, the alphabet news, you know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what they're saying in Europe, but I know in this country, they're insulting your intelligence as millennials. And we are the mothers and fathers of those millennials. We raised them to think for themselves. So in a way, when you're not supporting your child, a child that's going out and protesting, you're actually disrespecting their incredible irreverence. And we need irreverence right now more than anything. We need everything to be on a state of you earn respect, you earn my trust. You don't just give this shit away to people, you earn it. And so these millennials and these Gen Xers, specifically millennials who've been accused of being lazy, they're not lazy, they're smart. They want to be, it's a different generation. They want their wealth to mean something else. And for the many of them, wealth means traveling, wealth means planting food, wealth is conscious living. That to them is wealth. You and I, many of us, let's not forget, we were all raised in our 20s to think that having a private jet plane, having a Chanel bag, going to fashion shows and being around the rich and famous and jet setters was the meaning of wealth. And these young kids are restructuring what is the meaning of true abundance. And so we need to support our young people, to let them know that they are smart, they are self-educated, and to push back on the news media trying to put down this new generation of shamanic warriors and starseeds who are pretty much kicking the system down and tearing it all down. The curtain has come down. And we need to really just thank you for doing that, Jen. And we need to basically move into a place of connection with this younger generation. If you're a boomer like me, then we need to reach out to them and help them on their spiritual journey. Especially you, many of you are spiritualists and you are considered the elders. Be the elders and take, take notice of who feels broken or disenfranchised, or feels alone, or feels like they're going crazy. A lot of these starseeds are coming in and they don't know what is normal anymore and what is real. And meanwhile, the mass media, the alphabet channels, alphabet of lies, are really trying to disenfranchise the voices of our young people all over the world. And that is not acceptable, nor will we allow it. And so many of us need to stand up and maybe write letters and call the alphabet channels and say, you better back the fuck off. This isn't my kid you're talking about, or this is the generation of thinkers. The last time they were pushing this agenda of disenfranchising kids was the hippie generations. And these kids, somebody brought up Kent State University. If you've watched the movie The Trial of Billy Jack, it was an independent movie. It's called The Trial of Billy Jack. Go check it out. Okay, it's an old 1970s. It's very 1970s energy. Okay, it's kind of, but the story and what was going on was about a guy that was half Native American Indian and half white, and what he did, and the protests that were going on all around this country during the Vietnam War. And a lot of the guys that went to the Vietnam War got completely, massively psychologically ruined, or they came back as sociopaths. Okay. And the guys that did not go were not cowards. They were brave, and they got out of it in whatever ways they could get out of it. So now we have the millennials. We have the kick-ass shamanic warriors that we have prayed for. God damn it. It's not like we didn't pray for new blood to come into our infrastructure, right? To shake things up. Now here they are, and they're shaking things up. And they're shaking things up in things that may not make you feel comfortable, but you need to support them. Some of them are aligning themselves with violence, and of course we don't want that ultimately, but we can't judge them. But what we can judge is the alphabet channels trying to again program, because TV program boomers like myself and boomers that are older than me, who were actually the hippie generations. It's almost like they got lobotomized of their passions. I don't know what the hell happened with that generation, but anyway, and programming these people who are now senior citizens to look at our young generations with distrust and disrespect. Does anybody have a comment they want to share with the collective? Honestly, my life revolves around my own 2 kids, but also the dogs in my life and the kids. Autism I work with, nothing is comfortable, but somehow it works. This is how you inform the masses. Phenomenal platform for young, brilliant thinkers. Exactly. And a lot of these kids are blowing my mind. It's like leading a horse to water with the millennials. I'm teaching my daughter as best as I can. Yes, but they also have their own process of learning. Do you understand? They need to be respected enough. You can't treat a millennial like they're retards, or oh my God, I used that word politically incorrect, like they don't have an IQ, okay? They have more than an IQ. They have their own ancient souls that volunteered to come here, many of them, and who are trying to shift things and who are calling bullshit for what it is. They're calling it out, and it's not going to be pretty and it's not going to be comfortable. But as they're doing that, the ropes are tightening around us, and we can see that. I mentioned in the last live 15-minute cities, right? I mentioned it. If you do your research, because it's not a woohoo conspiracy theory, it's a real theory, and it's really happening. It's being talked about in England for real, and I was thinking about how that was happening in Gaza. Is that was a living, breathing 15-minute city. So just think about that. So when our millennials are pushing against the establishment and pushing and talking, some of it might be wrong, some of their information might be wrong or half right or whatever. Gently redirect them with more knowledge so that they have more power. Knowledge brings more power and potency to an argument. So whatever you remember, give them what they need, because ultimately we have to support them and direct them to their own voices and help them feel confident in what they're feeling and how they're articulating it. Or else we are going to lose them. We are going to lose generations and generations of a potential society created by these young people that can actually create the new earth, which Eckhart Tolle talks about. We can talk about it like that because it's what people relate to. Okay, but the information even on this is phenomenal. I wish I knew more to seek knowledge. You are amazing. You're politically incorrect. Is someone like us calling it out because they know who they are? We can talk about it like this because it is what people relate to. Well, ultimately, when I feel I'm a boomer, I don't even know how to use a computer. Never been on one. My daughter taught me how. I honestly, my mother was... don't take that as an excuse, okay? You guys can learn how to be on a computer. It's a difference between desire and just saying, well, that's not me. I was on a computer when they first created them, honestly. For me, that meant the 1990s for me, when they had dumb terminals in banks. And my mother was 84 and she was still working on a computer. She taught herself everything. So don't be so reliant on your beautiful millennials to help you. Try to learn, I don't know, take a class. YouTube has tutorials on bloody everything. You can literally put the tutorial on your phone and literally work and learn how to use your computer, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, what my message is to you is support these millennials. There are always dark and shadowed empaths that are totally corrupted. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the millennials that have their heart in the right place and their passions in the right place. I was talking to, and I think it was you actually, and I'm not going to mention your name because it's private, but I have a client who actually works with autistic kids, and they're nonverbal. And there's this weird idea in our society that in autism, nonverbal means no IQ. And we talked about that, how this particular student she was working with is telepathic. And we're losing generations and generations of brilliant minds just because they can't talk. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like we would never do that to a person who's mute, but we're doing that to autistic population. So again, we're throwing a lot of different minds away because we're not listening to where they're coming from or how they think. And we're not, in this case, the autistic population, we're not testing and giving them IQ tests that are nonverbal, which would actually show how, like, many of them are like Einstein. I mean, just because you can't talk. And by the way, I'm sorry if I'm jumping to thought, but we've been talking about the evolution of our humanity being telepathic. So here we have autistic kids that are called autistic, that are telepathically brilliant, that are psychic, that can tell you what you're thinking verbatim. And instead of testing them, we're like freaking out. It's like, and we're letting these educational systems and these supervisors and superintendents and principals and all of that slowly spiritually lobotomize our children. So again, there's massive change that's being demanded, and the millennials are the first. Think of them as like locusts. They're not taking no for an answer. They want truth. They want reality. They want freedom. They want the freedom to buy land and build whatever the hell they want without licenses and permits and all kinds of garbage. Do you think somebody's going to build something that's not going to be safe for their own family and themselves? Of course they're going to build it. People want to live in a level that's free, that has no infrastructure, that is going to take away their freedom to express the way they want to live and how they want to live. And that is a right that we lost 200 years ago throughout the world, okay? There was a time when you could buy land, I know you guys know this, and beyond that time, and just build whatever the hell you wanted. And people left you the fuck alone for the most part, unless you own you owe taxes, or you were renting land from a lord, or you know what I'm saying? You were like a serf, okay? And that was a different situation. But ultimately, our millennials, from what I'm seeing, the ones that are spiritual warriors, the one you're going to recognize them. There's the ones that are, no offense, bimbos that want to show you their big nails, and they want to share, sell you dresses, and they want to act like robots, and they got 10,000 views going on at once. You got those millennials, and we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the ones that you really need to pay attention to, who are the shamanic warriors who are actually calling bullshit on genocide, on everything you can imagine that's made people uncomfortable for the last 20 years. And now they're putting it on the table, and they want us to see it for what it is. And I feel, honestly, the last great president we had was Jimmy Carter, and I think the last before him was Kennedy, before he was, taken out. And we need young presidents. I'm sorry. We need presidents that have children in the White House. We need little kids running around, rolling around in the White House. We need new blood. Okay, we can't keep, voting in El Cid. Okay, people that are, I don't even know if they're alive or what's going on here. Like, I don't know if you guys know the story of El Cid, but he's propped up for I think a few days to keep to push the Moors out of Spain. But anyway, he was not alive. He was dead. Look up El Cid, and you'll see what I'm saying when I refer to that. We need new blood, new young presidents, children in the presidency. We need people who actually have a vested interest in us thriving as a people. And no offense, old people like that, like the one we got right here, he's not right for us, because he doesn't care what happens next. It's all egoic based. The way this person is handling, and many of these leaders, they're way too bloody old. And I'm not saying let's become like Logan's Run, like the movie, if you guys know what I'm saying. I'm not saying let's go to that level of stupid. I'm saying we need to realize that some of us need to be the elders, and then we do need to vote in people that are young or seem to be wise, but youthful in their energy and want a future, even though they might not be there to, bear the fruit of their labor. Oh, thank you. You are so far advanced in the lifetime. Truly appreciate your life. Oh, you're very kind. But does that make sense? And so there's multiple. So depending on what area you work in, depending on what you do, like if you work with special ed kids, or you're a nurse, or you're a psychologist, or whatever, an attorney or whatever, it's time for us to turn our attention to the greater good for all of us. And for us beyond this incarnation. Remember, we incarnate, and some of us may actually come back here. I'm not kidding. So it may not affect you today, but it could affect you in the next incarnation, especially if you deny what you see. So it's important that you step up, and whatever you can do to change, or create your own system, create a nonprofit school, create, I remember we're working with my son and homeschooling him and going through charter schools and things of that nature, because I would not concede to the powers that be with PhDs, and I was supposed to, cave into all of this supposed knowledge, and the mother's heart said, no, this will destroy my son, not help him. Their system was not going to help him. And thank God I listened to my instincts, or else it would have been a completely different story. So whatever you can do to support your millennials who are smart, passionate, loving, angry, sad, empty, do it. Do it. Your nieces, your nephews, whatever. If you see them posting on social media intelligent dialogue, or an attempt to an intelligent dialogue, engage it so that they can refine their dialogue by simply speaking out loud to you, by simply having another mind that is respecting of the way they think and wants to refine it. Certainly Plato would have done that, and Socrates did that, right? So what's the difference between them and us? There's none. We are all philosophers now. All of us that have been on the twin flame journey, all of us that are starseeds, we're all philosophers, and it's time that we actually philosophize with our younger generation. Let me see. Thank you. That's why I listen to you. Thank you. So any questions or comments? What do you think you can do to help with the shift in consciousness, especially with these millennials that really need to be respected and applauded? And our nonverbal autistic young children who really need to be heard. all the passions that are going on right now that you're seeing across the planet on social media is thank God for TikTok. That's all I got to say. Thank God for TikTok, because it is the bastion of the true democracy that we've always talked about and very rarely actually experience. You and I both know that, because when YouTube was, when we had creators creating content about the lockdown, the vaccines, whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter, okay? That was being removed. David Icke was banned, okay? Guys like that were being banned. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in Alex Jones and his stuff, you know, his rhetorics, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, here was a passionate person talking about, even an a-hole has some nugget of truth here and there. It doesn't matter. But the point is, YouTube was removing content and blocking and so forth. And so TikTok is the first time where we've been able to see everything, in some cases live. Like when there was riots going on in Paris, I was watching it live. Okay? There are things going on in Gaza. You guys are watching it live, right? We're seeing something that is being shown to us that has gone on for thousands of years, but we never had cell phones. What's going on in Congo, the reason why you're not seeing it to the level where we should see it, it's because they're so poor, they have no cell phones. They can't document their own suffering. And so they're holding... It's being documented by other people who happen to be in those incredibly dark places, okay, in the Congo and the Sudan, and their life is in danger, believe it or not. Whereas Gaza, everyone's got a cell phone and everything's been documented for years. So again, you know, like somebody said yesterday, it didn't start on October 7th. Don't you believe that? It's been going on for centuries. Centuries. It's been going on for 70 years. But it has been going on for centuries, come to think of it. I was in a Freudian slip. If you look at the Kingdom of Heaven, which Ridley Scott directed, watch the movie Kingdom of Heaven. This has been, thank you, this has been a major issue, Israel, Palestine, for about 2,000 years. Look at the Crusades. The Crusades impacted us. Anybody that has European descent was impacted by the Crusades. Look it up. The Knights Templars. The Knights Templars came back from the Crusades with a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge about what happened to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, the truth of it all, and the sacred Grail, and bringing it back to the southern part of France. It was so secretive that the King of France hunted them down over a 48-hour period, and basically gathered them all up. And that was a genocide of those men. So there's a lot that we're being asked to remember. It's almost like the ghosts of the past. Some of us could be those very ghosts. It could have been our past lives. And we're being asked to remember things that were not good for any of us. And that really brought a lot of trauma that has kept maybe your voices from speaking out in this incarnation, because in the past lives, maybe as a Knights Templar or as a reformist or as do you get what I'm saying? Could have blocked your throat chakra and put you in a place of fear where you're not feeling comfortable speaking out or supporting those who speak out in your family. I know you hate the word karmic. She's truly part of my soul family. We talk all the time about the children we share as twin. Yes. Yeah, they will have a good amount of hate on them. I'm a twin. I'm proud of it. I'm a twin who was grateful for it. I gotcha. So any other comments that you want to share about what's going on right now? How can we support the millennials and how we can support the Gen X's? And let them know that we respect them. Because right now they need our support, because the ABC Alphabet News Network are really, from what I'm seeing, are really decimating and trying to annihilate the wisdom of these millennials. And because our society doesn't believe in reincarnated souls, and because our society, it's not a common understanding, they don't realize what these millennials are and how ancient some of them are. Very, very ancient starseeds. And they're basically programming boomers like myself, right, to disrespect and dilute the potency of the message of these millennials who are going out in full force protesting all over the world. Any comments? Okay. Well, I just wanted to stand in, kind of do a quick live and do that. I have to go actually, but you are the boomer, the ones like us we're looking for. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what happened to some of our boomers who were hippies. I really don't. Where the hell are they? Where the hell are they? And a lot of our boomers in this country were sent to that war in Vietnam. So they're either homeless. Exactly. Unalivened, since that's this new word that George Carlin would rip to shreds. Can you imagine? Unalivened. Dead. And that's what's happening. There's a lot of our men were taken into this war, this horrible war that was a dead-end street. No one was going to win that war. Shit, the French had left already. I looked for you, and I'm glad I found you. Well, Maine, I'm going to tell you something. They've been shadow banning me. And shadow bans, just so you guys know, is that my lives don't come on at all. So are you. Very important. You are very important, Maine. So, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so because, going back to my point, because we are not understood, that the soul is not understood by the massive collective of this generation. First of all, we lost all our great warriors, some of the warriors, but also many of our men who stayed behind were lost. I don't know, lost hope, because they knew things that was happening. They knew what happened to Kennedy. These men knew and saw things go down. And even though they would speak of it, and I'm thinking of one person when I say that, in particular, it was ignored. It was completely ignored. Okay? I'm being told to tell you, look up on YouTube the speech that got Kennedy, 3 weeks after he gave this speech, he was, Go check that out. There are things that we are. I know that the real twin flame. I'll tell you why I know the real twin flames. Because real twin flames are ancient souls that were in separation. And it started probably for many of us, it's starting in Atlantis, but beyond that for some of us, to be honest. And twin flames are badasses. They're like incredible warriors, and they might have Kuan Yin energy, but I can tell when people are, because they care. They care more, not just about their twin flame journey, but also about the planet. And that's how I can tell. And I can tell when somebody's impatient, like they just want to know whatever. I had a client, not a client, because I didn't take her in as a client. She just wanted to know the X, Y, and Z, and this and that and the other, just low level energy. And I said, well, no, I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to do that. And she was like, no. And I was like, good, I'm not your person. It was like, she was like agreeing with that. And I knew she was not a twin flame. And twin flames are not that ignorant. They're not. There's one twin, and I've told you many times what happens with the twin flame separation and why. But right now we have business to attend to as a collective, and we need to step up into our power and help, pass the baton. And some of the things that are being shown right now is making some of our boomers drop their bodies. And I don't mean it on purpose. It's making them sick. It's making them physically sick. One of my friends died on Sunday, and I know he gave up. And part of it was he couldn't watch this shit anymore. It's too much for the soul to handle, And the soul is supposed to be have a lot of energy, and it never is tired. But I think that sometimes there are things that we see that does harm the soul. That's why we have some scars, impressions that follow us from incarnation to incarnation. And I think that some of our boomers are saying, fuck it. And they're getting pneumonia. Lungs is grief, and they're grieving, and they're dropping their bodies. That's another thing I'm noticing recently. So we need to stand up, step up, save the planet, save the humans. Exactly. It's all about us as brothers and sisters, and to stop letting the 1% dictate what's going to happen next. I made a call to arms regarding the Catholic Church, releasing all of these scrolls, books, knowledge in their little library that they just shut away from all of us. And I think it's time for us to rise up and demand for these to be transferred to UNESCO, transferred to scholars in Europe, actually, so that it can be translated and given to us as a collective, so we can read what was written for us to read 3,000-4,000 years ago. They have shit in there that is on vellum that's been around for 2,000-4,000 years. And there could be information that we need to understand, and we need to just demand it. So there's a lot of things that I think it's time for us to demand. And yeah, we can be friends. Why not? Oh, Jen, yes, Jen's a minute. Why can't you be friends? Be friends. Of course you can be friends. Why not? Anyway, so that's what we need to do. Because those books could actually give us what we need and more knowledge. All right. So it was a quick, let's support our millennials or Gen Xers. Let's not let the alphabet channels tell us that our young people are idiots and uneducated. Let's not do that. And we are all very much, it's the gathering of the star seeds. That's what it is, Maine. We're gathering as star seeds. That's what it is. All right. So any other questions or comments that you feel like you could do? My son needs to hear this. I'll tell him. I will upload it so that your young son can hear it. So that, because I felt compelled, I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to let these ABC channels tell me one more time that they know better than my millennial son or daughters and sons out there that are risking jobs. Many people are being fired. Tom Cruise had to step up for a CAW agent who was making some comments about Gaza that supported it, and she got fired. I don't know if you know. He stepped in. By the way, he's walked away from... what in the hell cult was he in? Sorry, guys. Scientology. He stepped away from Scientology. People are waking the hell up. What you think was impossible, I would have never thought Tom Cruise was going to ever leave Scientology, but there he is. He's gone. He kicked the bucket. He kicked them out. So what you think is impossible, even on your twin not being awakened, listen, the shit's changing, and we're going through radical awakenings. It's like amazing to watch. But at the same breath, we are watching people who are tired. And the last thing we want is to let our millennials feel like they don't matter and that their voice is unheard. It's heard, it's appreciated, and boomers like me are applauding. It's a standing ovation. All right. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well. I'll post this on the YouTube. No worries. Take care.